Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Wednesday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Wednesday. Welcome, everybody. Derry Bennett, Yella King, A Bond, Memo for the record, Wolf Glenn. How's it going, everybody? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Coming Out Day today. That's true. Happy National Coming Out Day. Welcome, Memo. First, well, are you an ally? Because it's Coming Out Day. Yes, of course. Michael Hassler, how's it going? I said yesterday that the hold on, folks. I said yesterday that the co-host is bi. So yes, absolutely. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We do have a lot of things to go through, folks, and not enough time. Today we will have to try to keep on schedule. Derry Bennett, what is the poll today? Is there a specific question you want to put on the poll? Alia with the 12 biddies, welcome, thank you. Heat, how's it going? Welcome. Welcome, everybody. All right, let's start getting this show on the road, yeah? All right, let's do it.
So on this program, we've talked about a number of Republicans who have been exposed for a plethora of reasons, ranging from grooming children to endangering and nearly suffocating children to giving alcohol to minors and indecent exposure, you name it.
Yeah, every accusation just ends up being a confession. Life is a circus, after all. Definitely reigns true now. A group of 6 House Republicans will introduce a resolution today to expel George Santos, who agrees Santos should be booted. Oh, that's hilarious. Hopefully the Democrats will will go with that. We'll talk about his indictments as well. I'm pretty sure I have an article on that. Oh, wait, I didn't queue it up. Hold on, folks. Yeah, there we go. All right. Don't worry, we'll talk about that.
And in covering all of these stories, I've noticed a bit of a trend. The more anti-LGBTQ plus the Republican in question is, the more bizarre their scandal turns out to be usually. It's almost like their fixation on queer people is a tacit confession of some sort of skeletons in their own closets.
Yep, always. Almost to the T. I mean, it's just wild how accurate you can predict that. It's ridiculous how accurate you can predict that that outcome there.
But I promise you, you are not going to be able to guess why this particular Republican got into trouble. I'm talking about Joseph Viso Jr., who is running for New Jersey State Assembly. He is a vaccine-skeptical MAGA Republican who often complains about illegal immigration. And
oh, so just a regular Republican. Gotcha. So just a Republican. Gotcha.
Thinks that Democrats are communists, but one of the most important issues to
so just a Republican, right?
him is seemingly parental rights. And that's because of his anti-LGBTQ plus disposition. And on his mailer, it's the number one issue that he lists.
So just the Republican, right? I don't know. Like, at this point in time, like, given like the circumstances that, you know, the world we live in, it's really no distinction, right? Like, there's no such thing as a MAGA Republican, right? They're just Republicans.
Parental rights in education, and I think that we all know what that means. He also mentions family values later on. And on Facebook, he claimed that LGBTQ plus people are coming for your children in response to an article alleging that a nonprofit was sneaking, quote, gender lessons into schools, whatever that means. And he also shared a post on Facebook signaling his support for the outing of trans kids to their parents, likely not understanding that that could result in child abuse if the parents aren't affirming. So now that you know a bit about him, just try to take a wild guess as to what sort of dirt just came up about him recently. Just think of the craziest thing that you can imagine and then multiply that by 10. You ready? He literally smeared shit on the doors, locks, and doorknobs of a daycare. And somehow, that is not even the most shocking part about this.
Wait, what? How is this? Did he get arrested for this? Because, like, literally anyone else would be immediately arrested. Yeah.
This story, because that award goes to the excuse that he used for said behavior. This is a wild one, so buckle up. HuffPost reports, Viso had a dispute with the daycare center, which was next to his business, and he told the Globe that daycare employees harassed my men every day. They had cars ticketed every time my men parked on a side street. At some point, he said, he decided to get even by smearing poop on the handles and locks of the child care facility. After the investigating officer told Viso there was video evidence of his poop smearing...
Oh my god. Yeah, very, very normal and very hinged, right? This is a pretty normal and hinged response. Yep. Yeah.
He apologized and said, I'm not proud of what I did. He told the Globe that he later cleaned up the dookie-stained doors. It was done before anyone got hurt, he said. I'm not going to defend it, but wait for it here. I was a young man. It was a horrible time, and I made a mistake, Viso52 said.
Wait a minute. My brother in Christ. You're a middle-aged man smearing poop, sir. Okay.
Obama came into office the year before. No, he is not blaming Obama. That would make Viso about 39 at the time, an age when most people have learned not to smear poop. Oh. He smeared shit on the doors of a building where children go to, and he blamed Obama.
Stop stuffing sopping wet bags of ice into your cooler.
Whoa!
You know, just when I thought that I've seen everything, a new GOP candidate comes along and just blows my mind. His excuse was he was in a dispute with his neighbor. He was also distraught over Obama's victory. So, you know, why not get even and smear shit all over the doors of this daycare, again, where kids go to. Now, he says that the reason why this dispute took place was because this daycare, which was next to his electrical business.
Yeah, he was 39, memo. Absolutely, Heat. I was just dumb, impressionable young child of 40. Jesus Christ.
Business that he owned was getting his employees ticketed, calling the police on them. But I mean, the question is, why would that owner of the daycare do that? Was there a valid reason? Were, you know, they parking illegally there? Were they
Good to know that I'm still a young man. Same. I mean, like, if he considers himself a young impressionable child or whatever, I was very young is what he said, I think. Then yeah, I mean, I'm younger than 30. 30. We'll say 39. So yeah, glad to know it. Cool. Thanks. I guess I have a carte blanche to basically act out like a child and smear stuff all over stuff.
Trespassing. On top of that, there was allegations that the daycare claims that, his employees were blasting loud music that was inappropriate right next to a daycare. So I think that I need more context to determine why this dispute even took place, because knowing what I know about him, I just have to automatically assume that he was in the wrong. And on top of that, the fact that he couldn't settle this amicably and resorted...
Yeah, I mean, like, it doesn't matter, like, what the context is, to be quite frank. Okay? Like, it doesn't matter what the context is. Like, what leads a grown man, a grown adult to smear poop anywhere, much less a children's daycare.
To shit smearing says so much about the way that he'd behave as a lawmaker. Like I said, the most anti-LGBTQ plus politicians are usually the ones with the most bizarre scandals. But that's not all, because LGBTQ Nation adds, in 2016, Viso pleaded guilty in federal court to 1 count of conspiracy to distribute methadone. Police charged him with possessing 5,000 grams of it, enough to make 5 million ecstasy tablets, synthetic and pathogenic street drugs. He said he sold the drugs to help pay for his cancer treatments at the time. In 2014, Viso was charged with illegally possessing a sawed-off shotgun near a school.
That's right. That's why That's why I'm surprised he didn't get arrested right then and there for that. You can't do that.
And sentenced to 2 years probation for it. He said he pleaded guilty because he couldn't afford a lawyer. In 2013, he was charged with possession of heroin and smoking materials. He pleaded guilty to possession with intent to use drug paraphernalia. Wow. Now, the article brings up lawsuits for non-payment of bills, along with the fact that he owed over 200 creditors more than $3 million combined. But I don't think that being poor is a crime, so I don't find that scandalous. But I do find his excuse for distributing methadone genuinely heartbreaking. That is, if he's telling the truth, which I have my doubts about. But just for a moment, let's be extra charitable to him and assume that he is being honest there. He says he sold drugs to pay for cancer treatments. Listen, as a leftist, I think that healthcare should be free at the point of service to everyone, including Republicans who smear shit on doors. And in theory, you'd think that an experience like that would shape his worldview, except it seemingly hasn't. So I recalled seeing a mention of...
Yeah, I mean, he's not unique in that, right? Conservatives consistently vote against their values, actively. They will prioritize bigotry over healthcare. Okay, you can get arrested for spitting on someone. Yeah, 100%. Does he think he's Walter White? Welcome by Pedal Meatbag.
Healthcare on his mailer. But when you read the details, or what you can make out at least, since the image quality is shittier than the fecal matter that he smeared on doorknobs, you can see that this isn't about healthcare. It's a reference to his anti-vax sentiment, which reads, protect individual right to bodily autonomy, ensure safety and transparency in medical recommendations in the metro... Protect
individual rights to bodily autonomy. So he's in favor of... He's in favor of abortions. Wow, congratulations. Cool.
Used to suggest them. Now, to be clear, he is not talking about reproductive health care when he references bodily autonomy.
Oh. So he doesn't believe in bodily autonomy.
He's referring to the vaccine mandates that were temporarily enforced during the height of the pandemic.
Enforced is a very... That word is doing a lot of lifting, because at no point did you ever have to be vaccinated unless you were in a specific specific job, like nurses or doctors, or first responders. Unless you were in a specific position, there was no vaccine mandate. In fact, you had... And it also was limited to companies, I think, that had 100 employees or more. And you actually never had to get the vaccine. You just had to prove that you didn't have COVID with a COVID test. So you actually never had to even touch the vaccine. So for all intents and purposes, there was no real vaccine mandate. save for like the really like frontline like nurses and healthcare and first responders, I think also. But yeah, there's not really a vaccine mandate, not here anyways.
And I just find this so bizarre, so weird. I mean, he's had life experiences that allow him to relate to working Americans, aside from the shit smearing, of course. I mean, the poverty, him having to sell drugs to pay for cancer treatments, assuming he's telling the truth. That's a Breaking Bad-esque story.
Yeah, hey, look, somebody pointed it out. Yeah, Walter White over here. Walter, great value Walter White over here. Even then, they could get tested regular and keep their jobs. Yeah, and in a lot of in like almost every single case, that was an option. I think like the only people who even had mandates were like nurses and like frontline people, right? I'm not sure if they could test out, but like the majority of people, they could just test out, and they never had to actually get the vaccine at all. Like basically, it was just to point out, it was just to prove that you didn't have COVID. That's it. It was mostly up to the employer, not the government mandated. Yeah, also great point. That's true. That's true. For me, I thought, I might have remembered incorrectly, but I thought like companies that had 100 employees and more, like had to, but I don't remember like the exact detail. I just remember that number, for some reason like stuck in my head. But yeah, like again, for all intents and purposes, there was no real like mandate, at all. This was a complete fabrication, from the Republicans and like these anti-vax people. This is a complete like alternate reality that they lived in. I don't know, like they thought like this was like some like Matrix like Neo like lockdown or whatever. I don't know. These people live in a completely alternate reality. So much so that they need to invent scenarios that never happened.
So even if you're lying, just the fact that you lied about that tells you that you know that healthcare is an issue. Why not link that to medical debt? He also filed bankruptcy before. The number one cause of bankruptcy is medical debt. Like there has to be some sort of mechanism in your brain that gets you to think deeper about these issues because you want to be a politician, right? He was also...
Well, no, you could just be conservative and no critical... Like you could just be conservative and leave your critical thinking like at the door, right? Like you don't... You don't. I was just doing an unscientific survey of people I was talking to over the past years. Yeah, I can't remember the complete details. I may be wrong.
Busted for possessing heroin. Why not advocate for drug decriminalization or even gasp legalization? Because he doesn't want to do that. Instead, he's on Twitter sharing memes comparing Joe Biden to Hitler, denying global warming, promoting ivermectin as a treatment for COVID, and doing January 6th apologia, just to name a few.
Yeah. Yeah. Standard Republican nonsense.
Things that he's posted about. This is why Republicans fucking suck, because even when they have experience that should theoretically help them appeal more to working Americans, assuming that he's telling the truth, again, they waste their time on dumb bullshit like that. Although, to be fair to him, shit is something that he knows a thing or two about, so it's pretty appropriate. But I mean, it's so ridiculous. It shows why this party cannot be taken seriously, because they are incapable of talking about substantive issues that actually need to be addressed. But I'll admit,
no, they're not interested in that. Okay, they're not interested because they're not there to talk about substantive issues. They're not there to solve problems. So yeah, of course they're not going to. They're not going to. Unfortunately, they're there for one thing and one thing only, and that's just power. That's it.
a Republican candidate has literally smeared shit on the doorknobs of a daycare center and blamed Obama for it, it's going to take a lot more for the next scandal to impress me. Like, we're going to have to see a Blippi level scandal. Don't Google that, by the way, but we're going to have to see something like that if I'm going to be shocked by it. But I mean, yeah, another family values Republican who wants to protect children from LGBTQ plus people got caught doing something outrageous. He smeared his shit on a building, literally. And what's interesting about this story is that I'm not even a little bit surprised. Like, it's shocking. The details are certainly shocking, but this is something that I think is absolutely within the realm of possibility when we're talking about GOP politicians. So I'm not surprised, and I doubt that you were either.
Nope. Guy really knows his ish, yep. Phenomenal stuff coming out of the Republican Party, huh? Obama wore the tan suit, so he just had to smear shit on the doors. True. The gravest of crimes that will echo through millennia, which is Obama's tan suit. They never really got over it, huh? They're here to get filleted by lobbyists as long as they do what the lobbyist says. Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, power is really the only language that they know. Power and centralized control is the only thing that they know. Because, well, they're fascists. And if that means doing whatever it is to appease their lobbyists who help them continue to get power only as a vehicle to get to their ends, then yeah, whatever. Whatever it takes. Like, that's why these people have absolutely no principles whatsoever. They believe in nothing of what they say for this exact reason. They don't care. Even their most sacred principles, like the Second Amendment, none of that matters. None of that matters.
Political polls can be a little challenging, right? Right now, we've got conflicting polls, some telling us, oh my God, Biden is screwed. Trump is going to win this thing. Others telling us, hey, Trump has no chance of winning. But at the end of the day, the question is, what do we trust and what do we know is total BS? And that leads me to our next question.
Well, you can, if there was like a general trend, say you've been doing polls for like months at a time and you're getting like a general answer, then all of a sudden, if you get like an outlier poll that gives like a way off answer, you might want to like question that poll. But just kind of like generally speaking, you kind of just follow where the trend is going. I think most IRL activists know the person to only vote for in this race. Yeah. How's it going, Surfer McGritty? So how do I do this? There you go.
And here's a question from YouTube community member Cook4192 who asks, when I look at the polling, I see where Democrats are doing better than Republicans and others show the opposite. Not just that both parties have negative ratings. How will we have a clear idea on where America truly stands for 2024 if we keep getting mixed polling? The last two elections, 2016 and 2020, and you could probably even count the 2022 midterms, the polling has been wildly inaccurate. Like all over the place, wrong. And there is a big reason for that. And it's for a reason I'm going to bring up right now, actually.
Good, hanging in there. Got one of my debts owed to zero, so it's a good day. Phenomenal stuff.
As I'm sitting here doing this specific segment, I have received 2 missed calls from a number I didn't recognize. It was an 800 number. that could have been a political pollster. But I, like millions of other Americans, do not answer numbers that I do not know. Unless they're local. Maybe it's the vet calling to say the cats are due for shots. Maybe it's my doctor, whatever. But if I don't know it and it's not local, I'm not answering. We also have an entire generation of people who are the exact opposite. If any number calls their phone, hello, yeah, hello, hi, are you there? Hello, before they wait for it to kick on. And that tends to be the older generation that skews more to the right. The younger generation, the folks that are not answering those unknown name, unknown number, they skew more to the left. And that is one of the biggest problems with political polling. They still do it by the phone. They're calling landlines. Look, nobody under 40 has a landline in their home. I'm sorry. If you do, you're one of the few. So when they make these telephone calls to do the polls, which is how the more accurate polls do it, they're oversampling people whose demographic tends to skew Republicans. That poll that came out recently, the Washington Post, ABC News one that said, oh my God, Trump's winning by 10 points. Do you know what the oversampling of Republicans was? 60% of the respondents in that poll, 60% either self-identified as pure Republican or Republican leaning. That's an inaccurate poll. Can't trust it. Wrong. Gone.
Exactly. Like if you have a bunch of polls that are saying that like Biden and Trump are neck to neck, and then you have another poll that says like Trump is leading by double digits, I would question that poll. It's an outlier. It doesn't make sense.
And we see that in polling all the time now because you're oversampling these demographics that tend to skew more conservative. And it's not just with the not answering unknown calls. That's just a very good example. But there's other things too, right? You have a generation, the younger generation skews more to the left. They're going to look at anything that comes in the mail that could be a political poll. That's still a way some of them do it. And they're going to toss it out. The online polls that they see, oh, this is probably a scam. I'm going to, enter into a phishing scheme if I click on this. Older folks, hell no, they're just click, click, click. I don't care. Not all of them, but they're more likely to do it. So the polling is all over the place. So your question, back to the heart.
I don't need no stinking poll.
Part of it, like, when can we trust these polls? I don't ever put too much faith in it. On the public opinion stuff, absolutely. I think public opinion things are important when they're polling people on the issues. But in terms of who you're going to vote for, column A or column B, that has been so wildly inaccurate that you really can't trust it. The best you can do is to look at the polling aggregates. See what all the polls combined have to say. That gives you a better picture. But don't ever base anything on one single poll from one.
Yeah, like that's the because political are phishing schemes. That's true, actually. Dewey should stop thumping his deck. He doesn't have a mic stand, unfortunately. So like, it's a thing that's gonna happen. Unfortunately, I don't know like if he's aware of how like audio is. I mean I come from like a more music background kind of deal. So I'm very keen on like audio and whatnot. And yeah, you can't have your microphone on your desk. You can't have it on the table. It's just like a non-starter. It's like living next to someone who learning the drums. Yeah, exactly. Get like a cheap boom arm, and you'll be all right. A cheap boom arm and a pop filter, especially with the Blue Yeti that he's using, it is like basically like the bare minimum. Because like Blue Yetis are pretty good. He's also way too far from the microphone. Which probably makes him crank up the gain, or crank up the gain to a lot, which only amplifies the small taps that he does by a lot. I have a mic on a tiny tripod. Is that okay? It's better, but like anything that you tap on your desk, the vibrations will go and travel. So the best practice is to have it off your desk. Unless you have like a boom arm that I have that's like attached to my desk, you could do that, or you could have at least with the tripod, it's a little better. But try to get it closer to you. The closer it is to you, the better. Regardless of like the type of mic, well, regardless of the quality of the mic or not, it's better to have it closer to you. I mean, it is what it is. Also, it depends on the type of microphone too. If you have a microphone that's a dynamic mic, that's probably better. Because while the quality isn't as good, you're not going to get as much like background noise. Like, do you guys hear any background noise at all? When I stream, my typing can be heard, but to be honest, I don't care if it bothers people. There are others people that they can watch. Yeah, I mean, like, you can try to reduce it with filters or whatever. And sometimes, like, things like typing, you're just not, depending on the mic that you have, you're just not going to be able to get rid of it unless you have a digital filter. It is what it is. It's the nature of the beast. But yeah, my mic is always on my head. Thankfully, I have a good noise canceling or echo coming from inside my head. Would be unbearable. Like you have a game mic, like the headset. Trump said he won in 2020 by a lot. That's true. Gotcha. I mean, some headsets can have pretty decent mics. Nada, exactly. And why? Two things. One, I try not to touch the mic, although I sometimes do. Two, I have it close to my mouth-ish. Three, it's a dynamic mic, so the way the sound works is that it only works if I speak into it. And I have a noise gate filter. Clicky-clacky typing is one thing. The swelling timpani rumble of mic sitting on the desk is the worst. I agree. I agree. And oftentimes you can't. Also, I do try to avoid typing if I can. I try to have everything with like buttons or clicks. Pro level streamer? No, just audio. Audio is really something that I try to hone in, and I'm very self-conscious about in terms of like how it sounds, because like, again, musician, everything needs to sound good. Our workplace supplies the mic that can filter emergency vehicles passing through my window. Jeez. That's pretty good. Dynamics tend to take more pushing than condensers. Right, condensers will literally pick up like anything because they're powered, they're active powered, versus dynamic isn't nice. Dynamic isn't powered like a condenser is, if that makes sense. It's clean and it works great. There you go, phenomenal. That's exactly what I want. Anyways, this has been, thank you for coming to my TED Talk on microphones. If at all possible, dynamics are usually the way to go. And, because like, you don't need a studio quality mic. You do not need a studio quality mic, okay? You can get by with like a standard like dynamic. A standard dynamic, a USB dynamic, no less. Like, that's what I'm running. I'm running like a PreSonus USB mic. This is not, what is it? I forget the connection now. XLR. This is not an XLR mic. This is all software. All of it is software. Just run it through USB. And OBS is not doing a dang thing. It's all the software that PreSonus comes or brings with the mic. That's it. Sorry, my bad. I was just finding the constant bumps irritating. I completely understand. I completely understand. Your audio is good, so I didn't even notice. There we go. Hey, that's exactly where I want to be. Anyways, thank you for coming to my microphone TED Talk. If you like audio and do music or podcasts or streaming, usually dynamic is the way to go. Otherwise, like condenser mics like the Blue Yeti will do just fine. In fact, they're pretty actually decent mics. But yeah, sorry, Farron, just kind of picking your audio apart. So sorry. Anyways,
single group, one single time. There's just too many variables these days to be able to get purely good, accurate polling like we used to. I don't want to sound like one of those guys. Back in my day, we used to have reliable polls, but kind of feels that way, right? Hey, everyone. This is Aspen.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of understand what Farron is saying. And I agree that, like, if you get an outlier poll, like, definitely more data is needed. And you should probably take that poll with a grain of salt. But I think that if you have a consistent trend of, like, I don't know, like in this case, just using this case, if the presidential election poll right now is between Biden and Trump, and you get significant amount of polls that consistently say that it is pretty much like a head-to-head, like neck-to-neck tie right now. You know, it's a little back and forth with the margin of error. With the margin of error, then yeah, like if you see a poll that says like, oh, 10 points ahead or whatever, like that's no, I don't know about that one. That one seems to be an outlier. It's like if you saw, say, like 10 studies, if you took like 10 studies that say that you're trying to find like, okay, what is, I don't know, the effect of chemical X say? And like you look at 10 studies and and out of them, 9 of them say chemical X causes cancer. And then like one of them say chemical X doesn't cause cancer. You would probably question the one that doesn't, right? I have an XVO USB microphone for PC gaming. It's a condenser with a tripod stand and pop filter for recording voiceovers. I've never heard of that brand. XIVO? Hold on. Oh, look, there it is. Wow, that's creepy fast. How Google decided to suggest it. Oh, it's a condenser. It's a condenser mic. Yeah, you gotta get nice and close. That pop filter is good. And yeah, the pop filter is absolutely needed. And just but it's sitting on a so Chemical X causes Powerpuff Girls. So that's true. That's probably where my subconscious was going towards, Michael Hassler. I used to watch the Powerpuff Girls a lot. So maybe subconsciously I just went to Chemical X. I wasn't thinking about that, but yeah. Okay, so if you do have, sorry, final just thought. If you do have a microphone that's on a tripod, if you have one of these little guys, I forget what they're called. They actually have little like bands. I don't know if you can see them, but they actually have little like rubber bands that actually help to absorb. They're called shock mounts. There you go. Sorry, it took me a second. Shock mounts. If you have the microphone on a tripod, but it's on a shock mount, the vibrations will be minimized, so you should be okay. So yeah, you can have it on a tripod. It would even be better if you had these little shock mounts to reduce the vibrations coming up, through the microphone. There you go. I bought 2 arms, one for webcam and one for mic. Nice. Nice. I actually have my camera on a small tripod. On a small tripod, very, very small, that just happens to be right over the laptop. That's where I have it all set up. Anyways, sorry guys. Farron, get yourself a boom arm and get yourself a pop filter, and you'll be all right. So as Alio pointed out yesterday, it appears that the Republican Party has selected Steve Scalise to be their nominee, the David Duke without baggage. I'm not kidding. This dude attended an event hosted by the KKK in 2002. So yeah, this is not an exaggeration. And apparently this is the same representative who of Republicans decided that they're gonna put up for nomination. In case you wanted the receipts for that, Congressional Black Caucus leader wants investigation into the Scalise speech following the revelation that House Majority Whip Steve Scalise, which by the way they elevated to a position of power at the Republican side. So like you kind of you can kind of tell what these people are about. I like the racists who tell me that they're racist. I'm good. Steve is a fascist, but he has a comp sci degree. I think it's weird. Why is it weird? You can be a racist, fascist piece of shit and still have gone to university. I don't understand. That doesn't exclude you from... You would think that normally, like, more educated people tend to not be, but, you know, it is what it is. Plenty of fascists in tech. Well, that's true. I hear the Republicans have a new speaker. Yes, we're actually talking about it right now. Following the revelations, the House Majority Whip Steve Scalise spoke at a white nationalist meeting hosted by former KKK Grand Wizard David Duke in 2002. Representative Yvette Clarke has called on House Speaker John Boehner to conduct an investigation to the Republican congressman's actions. This is the kind of people that the Republican Party seems to have not only just elevated to positions of leadership, but now they've decided that this is the guy they're going to put for House Speaker. I mean, not really surprising. UK's 2 premier universities specialize in turning out right-wing shitbags. Oof. I've been in IT for 35 years. It'd be racist? Oof. Louisiana's an actual shithole, in my opinion, and Mississippi. "14 minutes ago, Nancy may say she will vote no on Scalise." Oh man, the memes continue. Phenomenal stuff. All right.
First, I want to thank my House Republican colleagues for just designating me as the Speaker. Obviously, we still have work to do.
Like, how messed up of a party are you that not only are you nominating like these type of people to leadership, but you've shown, given the stories that we talked about yesterday, that you're completely fine with having like creeps like Matt Gaetz, and you're completely fine with all the skeletons that he's had up until now, that he slighted you, as I think the Simulacra pointed out, it's transactional. Yeah, I could use some of your namesake. My apartment is currently 6 on the official Canadian temperature chart. I think that means cold.
we're going to have to go upstairs on the House floor and resolve this and then get the House opened again. We have a lot of work to do, not just in the House for the people of this country, but we see how dangerous of a world it is and how things can change so quickly. We need to make sure we're sending a message to people all throughout the world that the House is open and doing the people's business, making sure that we're unequivocally standing in our first resolution that we pass under Speaker Steve Scalise will be to make it clear that we stand with Israel. The McCall-Meeks resolution will be our first. But obviously there's a lot more work to do. The conversations we've been having with my colleagues over the last few days leading up to this show that there's a resolve, that we need to get back to work. There's a lot of business to take care of. Families are struggling across this country. You know, we passed a lot of legislation to help families get back on track, to address our border crisis.
He's going to do none of that. He's not going to pass legislation that will help families. And, yeah, of course, you gotta do the xenophobia, right? We don't know if Steve is going to win anyways. Chances are, it's going to be very hard if he can at all. Going to be a lot of Palestinians murdered in the next few weeks. Unfortunately, the situation's probably going to get a lot worse. For Palestinian civilians and children and the people that are there. Yeah. It's going to be another 15-rounder, maybe, if at all. If they can even manage to get behind this guy. Earlier Wednesday, House Republicans voted 113 to 99 behind closed doors to select Scalise over Jordan as their speaker. At least 11 no votes for Scalise. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they have the votes. I don't think so. I don't think so. Kevin has changed his mind again. He wants the job back too. He said he would accept it. But good luck.
To get our economy moving again, to address the spending in Washington that's driving inflation, high energy costs.
No, that's not the main driver of inflation.
All of those bills that we've passed and that we're going to continue to pass that are sitting over in the Senate need to be taken up. We've passed over 70% of the bills to fund the government. Dealing with appropriations and setting the priorities of this nation's spending, and the Senate has taken up zero. The Senate has to start doing their work. And by the way, in that legislation...
Bro, are you trying to kick this off to the Senate?
Including the State and Foreign Ops Bill, the Defense Appropriations Bill, includes funding for Israel. Things like Iron Dome, precision-guided missiles, things that could be used today to help them in this war. So there is a lot to do. I'm also going to be calling on President Biden to sit down and talk about the crisis at the border.
Bro. I think the Russians and Iranians have pushed Hamas to do this to distract from the Ukrainian atrocity. I don't know. We don't know.
As we have an open southern border, and we've seen millions come in the last few years.
We do not have an open southern border. That's just a lie. That's a myth.
Including people on the terrorist watch list from all over the world. If he doesn't know now, after what happened, we cannot have an unsecure border. We've got to secure America's border. We've passed legislation to do that. It's time we sit down and have a conversation.
What are you talking about, dude? Quit trying to fearmonger over stuff that you don't know. I think the people who have lived in an open-air prison with no clean water for their entire lives don't need any foreign push. True.
about how to secure America's border. And it's not a Republican or a Democrat issue. There are Democrat mayors all over.
Like, this dude's trying to, this dude's, playing the tune of 2001. This dude's trying to play the tune of 2001. Like, what? Like, Hamas is, coming through the southern border? What are you talking about, dude? And by far, the most fentanyl is brought in by white Americans. I don't know what fentanyl has to do with this, but okay.
The country who've been calling on the president to do this too. That's a conversation we need to have today. There's a lot of busy work to do, a lot of important work to do on behalf of people who are struggling, not only here in America, but who are concerned.
Guys, in India, most folks who are in the U.S. illegally are on a visa and overstay. The border wouldn't change that. Correct. Steve is talking to ours who understand that what he means and don't question it. You are the wrong demographic for his speech. Right. Correct. GOP MAGA forget if millions of trillions of people come into the country, a wall will not stop them. Yeah, a wall. First of all, the wall that they put up is not okay. Is not stopping them, and it's not a deterrence to people who are desperately trying to, I don't know, survive. It's just not. Putting up another 20 miles or whatever is not going to make a difference to people who just want to survive. Okay, so there's the video. House GOP picks Steve Scalise as Speaker nominee, but unclear if he can get the votes. The House Republicans voted behind closed doors to select Representative Steve Scalise of Louisiana as their nominee for Speaker, but it's unclear if he can lock down the votes needed to win the gavel following McCarthy's abrupt ouster. As of now, Scalise, who currently serves as the House Majority Leader, lacks the 217 needed to be elected Speaker. In a floor vote, and multiple Republicans have not committed to supporting him, signaling the potential for a drawn-out fight for the gavel. It's not yet clear when the House will hold the Speaker vote. Until a Speaker is elected, the House remains effectively paralyzed following McCarthy's removal, an unprecedented situation that has now taken on new urgency amid Israel's war against Hamas, raising the stakes further. The longer it takes Republicans to elect a new Speaker, the less time lawmakers will have to try to avert a government shutdown with a funding deadline in mid-November. Scalise won out Representative Jim Jordan. Yes. So, the two choices was a dude who protected, a rapist, I forget the story, but Jim Jordan protected a rapist in the whole wrestling situation, and the other guy is the guy who's attending speeches or giving speeches or attending an event made by the KKK or hosted by the former Grand Wizard of the KKK, I should say. Phenomenal stuff coming out of the GOP. They're not sending their best. Evidently, he can only lose 4 votes to not be elected. Molesting or helping the sexual assault of school wrestling students. Yep, there you go. And the other option, which they went with, was the dude who is reportedly David Duke without the baggage, right? It's okay, they're gonna ban ladders in Mexico. True. I remember specifically seeing a story that the wall was defeated by a sawzall, basically. That border wall, Trump's wall, was basically defeated by a freaking sawzall. I mean, proudly called himself David Duke with the without the baggage. Oh, so that was a quote from him? Wow, phenomenal stuff coming from the GOP. Phenomenal stuff. I thought it was like I thought it was attributed. It was it was something attributed to him because of his association with the KKK, with like David Duke. I thought it was just something that like, but apparently that's his direct quote. That's, whoo boy, phenomenal stuff. The border wall does not reach any top at all. Correct. Yeah, they're also going to ban shovels. But you don't need any of those. You just need a sawzall. You'll be all right. I know the UK is effed right now, but the US politicians are next level scumbags. Yeah. Like outwardly fascist, outwardly and out and proud, calling themselves David Duke without the baggage. In 2023, still dude is in Congress, and apparently vying for arguably one of the most powerful positions in government, right? I mean, the question is now whether Scalise will be able to win over Republican holdouts. A major obstacle in his path to the gavel. House Republicans hold a narrow majority, and Scalise can only afford to lose 4 GOP votes on the floor and still win the speakership. McCarthy's ouster, which was driven by a group of hardline conservatives, the far right, has intensified deep divisions within the GOP and led to an escalation of tensions that now threaten to make it even more challenging for Republicans to unite behind the new speaker. Swift opposition to support Scalise on the floor made clear that the GOP party fight over who will be speaker was not going to be quickly resolved. A number of Republicans would not commit to voting for Scalise for speaker for floor following a vote earlier in the day to nominate the Louisiana Republican for the post. So yeah, yeah. This is looking like another circus ready. Actually, I have the gates open in the wall anyway. Jordan plans to vote for Scalise on the floor and is encouraging his colleagues to do the same. But it's not clear that it'll be enough to secure the needed votes. I'm not supporting Steve Scalise. I'll be voting for Jim Jordan, said Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene. Jim Jordan presented a strong plan for us, a detailed plan on how to move forward. We didn't hear that plan from Steve Scalise. It was more vague answers. The circus continues. We'll see we'll see how many rounds this takes. And if they're even able to actually unite behind Steve Scalise. That old GOP MAGA joke, the government doesn't work, elect me and I'll improve it. Yeah. The real problem is the U.S. election system is a majority system as far as I know. The last time a third party had a seat in Congress was early 19th century. But if you want third parties, like that's a whole other set of problems that you're talking about. I would say, or I would posit, that you would support, moved to make ranked choice voting a possibility on a state-by-state basis through, like, ballot initiatives. That's probably, like, the path to the most realistic scenario as to how you would make a third party more viable. But the reality is the two-party system is kind of, it's kind of like cemented itself, and it's incredibly difficult. The best way to handle it is probably through ballot initiatives for ranked choice voting as a way of improving. At least it may offer a path for third parties to be more viable. The circus continues, folks, and battled Representative George Santos hit with additional charges, including identity theft. Federal prosecutors hit George Santos with 23 additional charges on yesterday, including allegations of identity theft that he'd been charged a supporter's credit card in excess of the supporter's contribution and then transferred the money to its personal bank account. Oh, man. I mean, yeah. You can't make this stuff up, folks. Prosecutors said Santos faces 1 count of conspiracy to commit offenses against the United States, 2 counts of wire fraud, 2 counts of making materially false statements to the FEC, 2 counts of falsifying records submitted to obstruct the FEC, 2 counts of aggravated identity theft, and 1 count of access device fraud in a superseding indictment filed yesterday, Tuesday. As alleged, Santos is charged with stealing people's identities and making charges on his own donors' credit cards without their authorization and lying to the FEC, and by extension, the public about the financial state of his campaign. Santos falsely inflated the campaign's reported receipts with non-existent loans and contributions that were either fabricated or stolen, said Breon Peace, the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of New York, said in a statement. I mean, like, why is anybody surprised that a known con man is out there committing fraud? And the Republicans knew this and refused to kick him out. Because they're okay with this. They don't care. They don't care because ultimately principles be damned. Oh, if I was a U.S. citizen, but I'm from Germany, I'm merely pointing out the weakness of the U.S. system. Oh, believe me. I believe we're very familiar, as we see. I totally understand. I totally get that. But yeah, I think we're aware. I think we're aware. Santos declined to comment at the Capitol late Tuesday, saying, "I've not had access to my phone," leaving his office a short time later. He maintained that he has no clue what's going on. But I will fight this. No clue, dude? No clue that you're going around essentially operating like what? Like a credit card scheme? Okay. Prosecutors said in a news release that the scheme included falsely claiming that relatives of Santos and then his then campaign treasurer, Nancy Marks, had donated big bucks to his campaign to make it appear that he was raising more money than he actually was in order to qualify for assistance from the National Party. To create public appearance that his campaign had met that financial benchmark for additional funds from the Republican Party and was otherwise financially viable, Santos and Marks agreed to falsify reports to the FEC and that at least 10 family members of Santos and Marks had made significant financial contributions to the campaign. When Santos and Marks both knew that these individuals had neither made the reported contributions nor given authorization for their personal information to be included in such false public reports. Dang, he used his own family? Wild. He's also alleged to have been involved in credit card schemes in which the campaign would charge contributors credit cards repeatedly above the FEC individual contribution limits. I mean, that's like knowing that this is the kind of stuff that happens. Knowing that this is the kind of stuff that happens, like why would anybody would be donating to Republicans at all? Given like the history, not just George Santos, by the way. I really enjoyed my time in Germany. Beautiful country, I bet. George anti-Santos crimes in common with Trump. I mean, yeah, definitely. If they would kick him out, the Republicans would potentially lose a seat to the Democrats, and that's why they never do. Yeah. In fact, I'm pretty sure Kevin McCarthy only kept him because he needed Santos's vote for speakership. So yeah, again, when it comes to power, principles be damned. These people have absolutely no principles. For example, in 2021, one contributor, texted Santos and others to make a contribution to his campaign, providing the billing information for 2 credit cards. In the days after he received the billing information, Santos used that credit card information to make numerous contributions to his campaign and affiliated political committees in the amounts exceeding the applicable contribution limits without the contributor's knowledge or authorization. On another occasion, he allegedly charged $12,000 to the contributor's credit card, ultimately transferring the vast majority of that money into his personal bank account. Wow. Okay. People are single issue voters, don't care about any of this, and they are numerous. That's true. Prosecutors also shed light on a mysterious $500,000 loan Santos said he gave to his campaign, alleging it was a fake loan, and that Santos had less than $8,000 in his personal and business bank accounts at the time. My single issue is that I want the U.S. political system to stop sucking. I wish. I think that speaks to everyone here. In an interview with WABC Radio of New York City, Santos said that the loan and others came from money I paid myself through his company, the Devolder Organization. Marks pleaded guilty last week to some of the same conduct involving false FEC filings that Santos was charged with yesterday, including allegations about the family members. That's really cheeky. Someone is daft enough to give the money and then they steal more. That's utter contempt. It's beyond belief. I mean, this guy is like a known con man, like another career con man, and not new by any stretch. Really arrogant, probably because he's avoided being caught and avoided any consequences for years. In fact, like he was he was facing potential, criminal stuff in Brazil for the same thing, for falsifying like financial stuff or whatever. I think he was like stealing checks or something. Master of disguise. Santos was charged in May with 7 counts of wire fraud, 3 counts of money laundering, 1 count of theft of public funds, and 2 counts of making materially false statements to the U.S. House of Representatives. He's pleaded not guilty and was released on $500,000 bond. He's due back in court October 27, about 2 weeks from now-ish. Santos, who was in his first term, came under scrutiny late last year before he was even sworn in, and when the New York Times published a bombshell investigation indicating that much of his resume appeared to have been manufactured, including claims that he owned numerous properties, was previously employed by Goldman Sachs and Citigroup, and graduated from Baruch College. Yeah, I mean, yeah. From a historical point of view, I really get it. The 18th century has developed modern democracy. I don't know about that statement. Unfortunately, the US has failed to improve their constitution over the past centuries. Right, but yeah, I don't buy that statement that the US like was developed a modern democracy. I don't buy that. All right, so in a good lowercase w, the right to repair now is now law in California. California Governor Newsom has signed SB 244, or the Right to Repair Act, into law, making it easier for owners to repair devices themselves or to take them into independent repair shops. Because California is one of the largest, world's largest economies, this iFixit co-sponsored bill makes it easier for people all over the U.S. to repair their devices. Nice. I feel like I was raised with such biased textbooks, I can't definitively say either way. The law, which joins similar efforts in New York, Colorado, and Minnesota, is tougher than some of its predecessors. Manufacturers must make available appropriate tools, parts, software, and documentation for 7 years after production for devices priced above $100. Less expensive devices only have to have these materials available for 3 years. California State Senator Susan Eggman sponsored the bill, and in a statement published by California Public Interest Research Group, said that she was thrilled and that this is a common sense bill that will help small repair shops give choice to consumers and protect the environment. The U.S. system is largely based on UK, where as corrupt and as fuck corrupt as fuck, and so no idea why anyone would ever think that democracy was even an option. Yeah, I mean, like, we have some parts modeled after the UK system. And what crap legislation was purchased with this decent one? I don't know, but I'm sure that we'll get the sour one at some point. The sour, because like California is like literally, the Governor Newsom is like a Sour Patch Kid. Okay, like you'll get one like sweet bill, and you know the sour one's coming. You know in lib tradition, the sour one is coming. California is home to a number of device makers, most notably Apple, which came out in support of the bill after initially trying to stall it. As a practical matter, California law may benefit consumers in places without such laws. For instance, Google, also headquartered in California, recently confirmed that the Pixel 8 series will get 7 years of spare parts, the same number the California bill mandates. The bill is effective on electronics made and sold after July 1st of 2021. While the bill is fairly sweeping, there are carve-outs for game consoles and alarm systems. What? The game oh, come on. Boo. These are people who legit say what I said earlier on camera unironically. Wait, what? Oh, yeah, okay. I sorry. I'm still on this like right to repair thing. Yeah, okay. I got it, Conscious Canuck. Yeah, true. 100%. Yeah, Jesus delivering the Constitution. Yeah, 100%. There's like people like, I mean, it's hyperbolic, but there's like people who actually are like, hold on. Jesus, Bible, guns. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, I mean, like, yeah. This is from, like, a Christian website. Yeah, so... Like, when you think America, Like this is like the most aggressively like American like picture that you can think of. Except for like maybe this one. This is pretty aggressively American, I think. Anyways. Oh, it's missing an eagle. You're right. Oh, you're right, Elron. And to explain myself, the ancient Greeks first developed democracy. Unfortunately, it was forgotten over time. Was it, though? I mean, like, the concept of the Senate in 1776 was reinvented by the U.S. Well, not reinvented. It was just taken from different parts from the indigenous people, parts of the British government. Yeah. It was reinvented by the founders, but that was how they understood it in the 18th century. Nowadays, we got a different understanding. Yeah, a different understanding. Their understanding of democracy was like white people with land were the only ones who should be allowed to make decisions. That was their understanding of democracy. Even though we've had concepts that are way more democratic. Anyways, that's neither here nor there. The point is, I don't think it's a fair assessment to say that the U.S. invented modern democracy. Anyways. All right, so good. W, nice W. Phenomenal stuff. Thank you. Awesome. In fact, I actually have a repair kit from iFixit. I actually have a repair kit for my computers or tablets or anything like that. I actually did buy a repair kit from iFixit because I believe in this exact concept. It's actually a pretty good and well-made repair kit. If you ever need like small yeah, there we go. Yeah, this is exactly it. But unironically though. Yeah. Unironically though. So if you need like a repair kit to take apart like phones or like tablets or just, you know, screwdrivers with specialized bits for computers or anything like that, iFixit, phenomenal product. I have it myself. Is this sponsored sponsored content? I wish. iFixit is pretty good. And they give pretty cool stickers, too. All right. Back to the stuff. I love stickers, and they're actually pretty good too. They didn't invent it. They first introduced it in my history lesson in school. I was taught that democracy was forgotten after the ancient Greece. What? But have you read up recently? Oh, are you talking to me? Kari Lake kicks off her Arizona Senate bid with an endorsement from Trump. Nice. Republican Kari Lake kicked off her campaign for Senate on Tuesday with a boisterous rally in Scottsdale, Arizona, rattling off conservative talking points and playing an endorsement video from former President Trump. Trump endorsing Kari Lake, guaranteed L. Right, and of course the classic retort will be, of course, the election is rigged. Of course, because this is all, to slight Trump. Oh, I see what you're saying. Anyways, yeah, guaranteed L. When she loses, the election's gonna be rigged. Yada yada yada. We've seen this song and dance. Putting an endorsement video from former President Trump. Quote: "This mama bear has a lot of fight left in her." Lake told more than 200 supporters. 200 supporters. Wow. "I'm not going to retreat. I'm going to stand on top of this hill with every single one of you, and I know you're by my side as I formally announce my candidacy for the United States Senate." But I thought you won the gubernatorial race. Okay. Lake, a former TV anchor. I mean, yeah. Yeah. Lost the Arizona governor's race last year, and she refused to concede the race and continues to litigate her allegations of fraud, which have no basis in reality. The rigged elections, wondering if this lie will ever become boring. Unfortunately, no. And it's becoming dangerous. Because, like, imagine. This is a sidetrack. Imagine these people have been told for months and months and months that the 2020 election was going to be rigged if Trump didn't win, right? Trump didn't win. The election now, in their eyes, was rigged. Now it's 2024, and we're seeing the same song and dance. If Trump loses, it's because the election was rigged, right? These people are gonna I don't know. I think that their proclivity for violence is going to increase exponentially. Like January 6th was is escalated from that. That's no Barry. You had 4 years of a game show host for president. True. Lake is actually worse than Pence. I mean, it's all the same to me. Like, Republicans are just like they're all the same to me. I think God has better things to do than care about Kari Lake's election results. No, you don't understand. She's been mandated by God. Again, with the GOP MAGA around polls matters more than votes. Well, the polls may not indicate if she's going to win or not. There's going to be another tourist visit. Yeah, except this one is going to be more spicier. I have a feeling that if Trump loses, again, this is like a side note. I think that if Trump loses, it's going to be worse. So no, I don't think it's going to get boring. They firmly believe that unless their people win, that the elections are rigged. We had 8 years of a B-movie actor as president. True. And look where that got us. It was really a rhetorical question. Just yesterday, I watched people on a Trump rally. Gotcha. Sorry. Reagan got 2 terms and Trump did not. Yeah, and Reagan, arguably, is one of the progenitors that kicked off, the groundwork that now led up to where we are. And also, to Simon Locker's point, so far, because hey, it is a possibility. that we may find ourselves with another 4 years of Trump. It is a possibility. So that being said, yeah, that may well be the case. Trump loses, there will be blood. It's quite like it's quite possible. As if like the dead people on January 6th weren't enough. Like I think it will be worse. I think it will be worse. I think that like because we came so close, that by like literally just a miracle things didn't like get worse. These people, these domestic terrorists literally had caches of weapons. And they didn't use them. I don't know if that will be the case next time. Even better, Reagan was senile by his second term. Still better than Trump? I don't know. I don't know. Reagan kind of set the... Well, he was definitely one of the architects of the reasons why we are in this situation. I would say that even Reagan has done more damage than Trump, in a lot of respects. Yeah, so I don't know about that one. In her announcement, she suggested divine intervention kept her out of the governor's mansion. God has mandated me to be a governor. A senator, not a governor. After we did what? After we did everything right and we saw the disaster of election day, sometimes when things don't go the way we expect, we find ourselves questioning and asking why. I said, why, God? I think God has bigger plans for us. Okay. Oh, man. Yeah. In her address, Lake spoke of its southern border overrun by armed cartels and suggested the U.S. could face a terrorist attack like Hamas's assault on Israel over the weekend. Ah, yes. Yeah, I could see the cartels coming over the border because that's something that the cartels are interested in doing. Certainly not keeping a profitable criminal empire. Certainly not that. The good Morty, thank you for the follow. Well, she's mandated by God, but God kept her out of the governor's mansion. Right. Listen, it doesn't make sense. Yeah, because God was really into right-wing politics. Apparently. He's so much into right-wing politics that they keep losing. So maybe it's God telling them something. I don't know. Are you guys seeing the same thing that could happen here? Thousands of fighting age men, thousands, have poured across the border with no vetting. Yeah, and apparently these thousands of men are armed with, guns and whatnot. Got it. We know they have terrorists coming across the border. Cartel owns Arizona. Wait, they own Arizona? I was not aware of this. Wow. This is breaking news, folks. Apparently, the cartel owns a state. Owns the entire state of Arizona. Phenomenal. I was not aware of that. I would argue different. Trump withdrew from so many different agreements. Free Arizona. What do you mean? Like Trump worse than Reagan? No, I don't think so. I thought they just rent the state. Do you think that potential violence would come from the same small business tyrants who stomped around the Capitol in their capture the flag game, or from the others? I think they kind of got a real check when the FBI came after them. They really thought they'd just go home quietly afterwards. I think so, Morty. I think these people would have more proclivity for violence because if the cult leader, has been priming this pump for years and years and years, saying like the election was stolen, the 2020 election is stolen, and now he's going on the same thing, like, oh, they're gonna do it again, and I don't know. I think there'd be more willing, especially if they see the people that got sentenced, and rightfully so, the people that got convicted, They see those as martyrs, and they see those as political prisoners, right? In fact, elected representatives called them that, continue to call them that. They call them political prisoners as they're being convicted of like sedition. So yeah, these people see them as martyrs. That's not. It's a very unpredictable situation. But I would say, they called those people Antifa. They did. They did, but it doesn't. It doesn't make sense. Because there's no logic being deployed here. I don't know if they see if they see martyrs, they disavow their own. No, I think they do. They call them political prisoners. They call them patriots. They call them patriots that are being held by the opposition party. So I think that they do see them as martyrs in a way. I'd argue that Trump is the worst president of the U.S. since Kennedy. Nah, I think Reagan and his policies that laid the groundwork to where we are now, I think was far more destructive. Do you think Bush was worse? I mean, Bush was pretty bad. Bush was pretty bad. Was it Bush then Reagan? Or Reagan then Bush? Reagan and Thatcher fucked the last 40 years. Yeah, I mean, certainly, I think certainly Reagan was definitely one of the architects, Bush as well. No doubt about it. It was Reagan, then Bush Sr. Okay, so yeah, there you go. Like, it was Nixon, between Nixon, Reagan, and Bush, and Daddy Bush. Like, these are like the three amigos, that essentially set the stage, for where we're at. January 6th, Patriots wore no mask and work IDs made it easier, and Facebook posting other crimes. Yep. Clinton had plenty to do with it as well, and Obama. They're all pretty awful. That's true. That's true. Clinton has his share to blame too. And Mr. Hope and Change too. Are you guys seeing the same thing that could happen here? Thousands of fighting age men. Oh yeah, I already read this. The cartels own Arizona, and until we kick Joe Biden to the curb, Ruben Gallego and Kirsten Sinema, we're not going to have a state. This is true, folks. This is very true. Apparently the state of Arizona, which she's running for, also somehow, is owned by the cartel. Mouselander, how's it going? Ask Chomsky, there's never been an American president that shouldn't have been hauled to The Hague. That's true. That's true. I'll agree with him on that one. I'll agree with Chomsky on that one. Trump recently made similar suggestions about a domestic terrorist attack because of activity at the southern border, although he specifically pointed to the same people that raided Israel as one of those pouring into our once beautiful USA. What? A senior U.S. official familiar with the topic said that the claim was false. I mean, yeah, I could have told you that. Okay? Anyways, while the exact number of people crossing the border who may have ties to Hamas is classified, the official said that the idea of Hamas pouring across the border is false. A very small fraction of people stopped at the southern border are on the terrorist watch list. In fact, yeah, and like also if that's the case, like it's right there. They were on the terrorist watch list and they were stopped. Therefore, like nothing happened. Okay, so therefore the border isn't open. In fact, the recent surges in crossings have been driven in part by thousands of families fleeing violence and poverty and presenting themselves to the border authorities in pursuit of asylums. Simplemente Tony, welcome. Thank you for the follow. Kennedy, Johnson, Nixon, Ford, Carter, Reagan, Bush, Clinton, Obama, Biden. I was taught that it's mandatory to learn the presidents. Was I wrong? I mean, like we were taught the presidents here, but like I don't know. It just seems weird that like we have to like learn. I mean, like unless we're just talking about like objectively what they did, a lot of the times it just feels like we're just like revering these people. Carter was terrible. Read about the Trilateral Commission and his horrible sucking up to the world's oligarchy. Lake is seeking the seat held by Kyrsten Sinema, a Democrat turned independent who hasn't said yet that whether or not she'll run for re-election. Representative Ruben Gallego of Arizona is also running as a Democrat. In her address, Lake focused on domestic issues, speaking about fentanyl, gas prices, and inflation, repeatedly blaming President Biden for all three, of course. Also, yeah, I'm still thinking, like, how is she running for Senate if the cartels own Arizona? I don't understand. As for her policy agenda, Lake mostly promised to support Trump's agenda. Just the Hall of Fame, but for heads of state, right? Which is weird. The only way to fix our problems is with America First policies, which, as we know, what America First means. President Trump showed us how to do it. 4 years ago, we had $2 a gallon of gas? Question mark? Citation heavily needed. The border was secure. As opposed to now? Like, I don't understand. Inflation was non-existent. That's not true. Also, what was the economic situation? And the economy worked for every American. That's absolutely not true. Toward the end of her address, Lake played a video from Trump. When I was back in the White House, I need strong fighters like Harry in the Senate. She is a fighter, and she is strong, and she is good. Republicans must win, and we must win very, very big. It is much harder for them to cheat if we do it like we should. I don't know what that means. Carrie is one of the toughest fighters in our movement, and I am proud to give her my complete and total endorsement for United States Senate. So, nice meme. Gas prices are going up as OPEC is the main supply, exactly like they did in the 70s. Yeah, I mean, whatever. You can't expect any logic from these people or any truth. He was merely a parody of a president who unfortunately got elected. Yeah, but president he was. And damage he did. As well. Speaking of which, citing Trump's online attacks, the U.S. prosecutors seek protections for jurors in an election case. The federal prosecutors on yesterday, urged a judge overseeing Trump's election interference case in Washington to take steps to protect the identity of prospective jurors, citing the former president's continued use of social media as a weapon of intimidation in court proceedings. Again, why this guy isn't sitting in a jail cell is beyond me. But he continues to do this and repeatedly gets away with it. Right when media leaves COVID out, yeah, I mean, like the inflation stuff can be explained with a lot of different factors. One of the biggest driving factors of inflation is, in fact, the economic fallout from the pandemic. Yeah. Special counsel Jack Smith's team wants U.S. District Judge Tanya Chutkan to issue a written questionnaire to help the two sides choose potential jurors in the case accusing former the Republican president of illegally plotting to overturn his 2020 election to Democrat Joe Biden, but it would also give lawyers early access to the identities of possible jurors. Prosecutors said in a court paper that they're concerned about what Trump might do with the research on possible jurors, pointing to his recent disparaging of the clerk of the New York judge overseeing Trump's civil business fraud trial that caused the judge to issue a limited gag order. Trump, in that case, posted a photo of Judge Arthur Engoron's principal law clerk posing with Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer at a public event, writing that this was disgraceful. The clerk was working with the judge. Engoron ordered Trump to delete the post and barred all parties from smearing court personnel. Quote, given the defendant, after apparently reviewing opposition research on court staff, chose to use social media to publicly attack a court staffer, there is cause for concern, and in my opinion, rightfully so, because he has a history of this, not just in this situation, about what he may do with social media research on potential jurors. In this case, prosecutors in the election interference case wrote, Smith's team is asking the court to bar those involved in the case from following or friending prospective jurors on social media in order to gain access to private pages and prohibit any investigation of jurors that could reasonably perceived as vexatious or harassing. Prosecutors also want the judge to prohibit both sides from using information gained through juror research for any purpose other than jury selection, and require lawyers make sure that anyone who has access to sensitive jury materials understand they cannot publicly disclose that information. The government's motion indicates that the defense attorney opposes it. John Lauro, the attorney for Trump, declined to comment on Tuesday. Judge Chutkan ordered the defense to file any opposition by October 20th, 9 days from now. In their filing, the prosecutors noted that the judge overseeing another civil case against Trump in New York, the writer E. Jean Carroll's rape lawsuit, ordered that chosen jurors' names be kept secret, even from the lawyers, citing a very strong risk that they otherwise would face harassment from supporters from the former president. Prosecutors noted that measures were far more restrictive than the ones they're seeking, but urged Chutkan to likewise protect prospective and selected jurors, in this case from intimidation and fear. In Trump's election interference case in Georgia, Fulton County Superior Court Judge Scott McAfee recently ruled that jurors or prospective jurors can only be identified by number in court filings or in open court, and that during the trial, no one can disclose any information that would reveal their identity or any list of jurors or prospective jurors or other specific paperwork related to the process. Prosecutors' motion is the latest flashpoint in the case over Trump's repeated social media attacks on prosecutors, the judge, and others. Chutkan is scheduled to hold arguments on Monday over another request from prosecutors to issue a narrow gag order that would bar Trump from making inflammatory and intimidating comments about lawyers, witnesses, and other people involved in the case. What reasons do they have for opposing juror safety? Well, I think under normal circumstances or under normal conditions, I think that's actually public information. in certain cases. I don't know if that's the same, if that applies here. But I think that that's why they're moving, why they have to make that motion. Got to go to bed. Definitely see you. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it. Prosecutors on Tuesday also urged the judge to require that Trump notify the court by mid-December if he plans to mount the defense, asserting that he was trying to rely on the advice of attorneys around him in 2020, as his lawyers have suggested in media interviews they will do. He will absolutely dox anyone he can. Yeah, 100%. I'd be worried about security and safety during Trump's criminal cases. Yeah, same. Same. Prosecutors said that at least 25 witnesses during the investigation withheld documents and other information from investigators, citing attorney-client privilege, including former campaign employees and a Trump family member. Trump would have to waive that privilege over certain communications if he invokes such a defense, providing prosecutors access to more evidence. Oof. Well, we'll keep tabs on what's going on with this. And we made it. Perfect. Perfect and on time, too, by the way. Smooth sailing. I'd be worried about Trump, about security and safety during Trump's criminal case. Yeah, I would be too. Hey, I started streaming again recently. I intend to do it every other weekend if possible, like streaming on Twitch. Like streaming on Twitch if you want. I can always give you a shout out. Which, before I go, just to start giving a couple of shout outs, please go follow twitch.tv/Mouselander. AlioShare is in the chat too. All other things being equal, I wouldn't want to be on the Trump jury. Too big of a chance of getting shot by some wingnut with an AR-15. I absolutely 100% agree. And please go follow twitch.tv/heat420_. Who's also not only just a phenomenal mod, but also starting to stream. So there you go. How many streamers are here? There's a couple. There's a handful of you. Any diamonds in chat? Normally diamonds in chat are streamers. Normally, I don't know why you don't have a diamond. Maybe I ran out. How do I VIP? Oh, come back. Here. Community. Ah. Yeah, if you see a diamond in chat, generally they're Twitch streamers or some kind of content creators generally. One more day, then the weekend. That's true. It's almost there, folks. We made it. All right, folks. I have to get going. Dinner's here, folks. Shine on, you crazy diamonds. True. Appreciate you all stopping by. Thank you guys. Thank you for the follows. Welcome, folks. Thank you for the biddies. Thank you for the subscriptions. Thank you all for hanging out here. Thank you, Heat. Thank you, Michael Hassler, for being mods in the chat. Thank you, Mouselander, Elron, the Simulacra, Alio, the Good Morty, Blue Brother, Elron, Thank you all for mixing it up in the chat. Zeoduke, thank you so much for stopping by. Conscious Canuck. Jesse James, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you for mixing it up in the chat. I think I got everybody. Gata Naranja, thank you. Cosmic Seeking, thank you. Heat, thank you for the 10 biddies. I appreciate it. Oh, I like these little emotes. They're adorable. I like the little mouse emotes. They're adorable. I forgot to request music. Oh, okay. Well, go for it. Tomorrow? Alright, we can do it tomorrow. You really got that emote theme on point. I like it. I like it. I like it, Mouselander. Alright, folks. As always, again, don't forget, do the social media stuff. If you can't support the channel monetarily, always head on over to the YouTube channel. It really does help us out. Slimy Yankee, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Hit the big red subscribe button. It really does help us out. We're here Monday through Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Spread the word. Bring a friend. It really does help us out. Thank you guys for joining. I appreciate it. Thank you again, Heat and Michael Hassler. I appreciate it. I like themes. Yeah, I see that. Worked out. As always, folks, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I love you all, and I hope to see you guys in the next one tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. See ya! Alright, folks, hang tight. We're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See ya.